Russia-US talks on Syria hit the front pages last week as Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and US counterpart John Kerry were locked in closed-doors negotiations for hours. When a breakthrough was finally reached, waiting reporters were surprised that both sides had very little to say on the details of the deal. Now there may finally be an explanation as to why the agreement is being kept under wraps. Well, for more on this, we can now cross live to our Middle East correspondent, Paula Sleer. Paula, good to see you. Any clues as to why this deal is being kept hush-hush?
Well, Washington, as you say, is insisting that the terms of the agreement remain classified. It says that to make them public could potentially derail the whole process. By comparison, Moscow does want to make the terms of the deal public and also endorsed by a United Nations Security Council resolution. The Russian President Vladimir Putin has hinted that there may be more to why the United States wants to keep this deal under wraps and keep it undisclosed, and he might be referring to recent incidents and recent happenings on the ground. We're hearing from the UN-backed Russian Reconciliation Center that in the last 24 hours, 3 civilians were killed and 12 were injured by rebel shelling in residential neighborhoods of the city of Aleppo. The Reconciliation Center also saying that Damascus is the only party that is complying by the terms of this agreement. Here is what the Russian president had to say.
They apparently don't want to publicize it for the sole reason that it will be immediately clear to the international community, to Americans and Russians, who is not complying with what.
Now, the Russian president also said that terrorist groups like al-Nusra and others, that Russia has been expecting the United States to separate and clearly delineate from the so-called moderate opposition or healthy opposition, has not in fact happened. The agreement was also going to be that eventually these groups would be clearly targeted by the joint Russian-American military operations. But this separation has not taken place, and the Russian president saying that he is concerned that in the meantime the groups could be regrouping on the ground. We've also heard from the Russian General Staff, who says that the United States is failing to fulfill its obligations in Syria, and that if indeed this deal breaks down, it will be because the United States failed to fulfill its part. At the same time, Russia is continuing not to disclose the details of the deal, but is saying that, of course, it hopes that it will ultimately bring peace and work.
RT's Middle East correspondent Paula Sleer, thanks for those details.